Leader of the PLP on Statia says if elections were held today, his party would win. Member of Parliament of the National Alliance has presented a motion for salary cuts for ministers and members of Parliament. But first up, Minister of Finance says that bonuses will be paid out to civil servants, even though they may be deferred. Those are the headlines for Wednesday, May the 6th, 2020. This is SXM Daily News. I'm Valerie Van Putten. Thank you so much for joining me. And as usual, we have a packed newscast for you this evening, so let's get started. Minister of Finance, Mr. Ardwell Irion, has announced that bonuses will be paid out to civil servants. The minister said that while bonuses will be deferred, however, they will be paid out eventually. Measures had to be taken to ensure that civil servants will be paid out once the liquidity supports. He made the announcement in the parliamentary meeting of Tuesday, April the 28th, 2020.
I had one question yesterday pertaining to, one clarification yesterday pertaining to the bonuses in government. And I'll start off from MP Emmanuel. And I will start off by saying there was a hung up on the word freeze. Could have used the word maybe as postponement or deferred. Freeze in the act of workers also means in the act of holding. MP Manuel also wanted a date, so I will start with this. On March 31st, in light of COVID-19, we were informed that measures have been put in place by the cabinet of the governor where only noodzakelijke matters will be handled. Consequently, advices, documents that will be added to the agenda of the Council of Ministers meetings for decision-making will only include matters regarding the COVID-19, payments required for government to continue functioning, economic stimulus and health-related matters, the trust fund, ICT-related matters, justice-related urgent matters, Kingdom Council of Ministers meeting matters, essential personnel matters, for example, hiring for critical positions, gratifications, not bonuses. In addition to that, Mr. Chairman, I made it clear yesterday that the bonuses are a legal obligation. So it's not that they won't be paid out, but will be deferred. And for that, I will also like to quote an article, Artikel 16 van de bezoldigingsregeling ambtenaren, Artikel 16.2. In geval de gratificatie in het kader van een beoordeling wordt toegekend als eenmalige bonus wegens uitstekend functioneren, bedraagt deze ten hoogste 12 maal de waarde van de grond van de beoordeling toegekende periodieke verhoging van de bezoldiging. I also like to quote another article where van de landsbeoordeling, inrichting en organisatie landsoverheid. Artikel 14. Het ministerie van Financiën heeft als doelstelling het behartigen van de eigen aangelegenheid van het land op het gebied van financiële, fiscale en monetaire zaken, bank- en kredietwezen, als mede het deelnemersgebied van het land. In other words, as Minister of Finance, I am also responsible for the finances, liquidity, monetary and fiscal policies when it comes to the country. And as mentioned before, the bonuses will be paid out once liquidity supports. That'll be all, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I also noticed Parliament has submitted an amendment that would speed up the process of the budget and the execution of the budget, and that government embraces this and supports the amendment.
In his presentation in Parliament, the Minister of Health, Richard Pandeflek, gave an update of the rapid testing of the COVID-19 testing. The minister said it is the only way to do mass testing of the population. He also briefed his colleagues on the labor situation on the island.
I hereby want to answer two questions that was posed to VSA Minister, but actually they are about the same thing concerning the rapid testing. The Minister of VSA is all for the rapid testing because that, in his view, is the way that you can do the mass testing of the population. So even though there are disputes, if it's concrete evidence, either if somebody have it or don't have it, in this case, the rapid test even will give you that if you had it, the indication that you either had it, have it, or you didn't get it as yet. And yes, while our system within the kingdom do not fully recognize it as yet, and even though it was shared this Friday morning that there are Dutch companies making these tests for the UK, I would like to explore the possibilities and get it done, because the other test you can, even though I said it last night, they have about 900 possibilities to do it, but it takes longer for you to have any indication of what the results are. Besides that, for making a plan of attacking the COVID, you can use the rapid testing because you will have a picture of how many people of the population is more or less indicated to be affected, or at least had the system already and have some kind of immune. And that's good for your public health system of your medical professionals to be prepared to see if they are able to deal with the results coming to them. Because as was stated before and worldwide understood, it's about what your healthcare system can handle. And that's one of the things that is very important. Besides that, Chair, I would like to inform that while we are busy getting the budget, the Ministry of VSA is constantly working, and I just received also a draft that will have to be discussed concerning the stakeholder engagement plan, which will be looked into and then roll out so that all the relevant stakeholders can be contacted, and that we can see as a whole as community, government, employers, employees associations, to see how we can best cope with the labor issues that we might be confronting as consequences of the COVID.
Meanwhile, members of Parliament Omar Otley and Rayon Peterson, in responding to questions from the Minister of Health regarding the possibilities of the rapid testing, MP Peterson wants to remind the Minister of Health that they have to go through procedures as well. Meanwhile, MP Omar Otley says he is in favor of the rapid testing. He, however, wants his colleague to understand to use the rapid testing as a backup.
Mr. Minister, just to touch base on what the Minister of VSA just said, because I understand that he said that the VSA is looking into the possibilities. While I understand that that is a sentiment of the ministry, I do want to remind the Minister of VSA that these rapid tests have to go through procedure as well. The fact that a private company, a private Dutch company, is delivering tests to the UK is not an official reason for us to take that into consideration when it comes to SIMATIC. The tests have to be verified and validated by the labs as well. And I would want to know the opinion of the labs in this matter and if they agree with the sentiments of the Minister of VSI at the moment. Thanks, Mr. Chairman.
Certain things. While I am a big proponent of rapid testing, I want MP Rayon Peterson to understand that he said something yesterday. The expert stated that a loaded gun is when a person that may have the disease think that they don't. But to me, in St. Martin, a loaded gun is when you test people, they are positive, and you tell them go home without another test to see if they are indeed negative because they don't show symptoms, when 30% of the world population will be asymptomatic. Now, we're not here to put a fight on the testing method because we are all here for the purpose of St. Martin, and I want EOC Prime Minister and everybody to know I am not in a fighting or a battle with you. What I am saying is not get rid of the current method, but see how we can implement the rapid testing like the rest of the world has done. So I just wanted to make that clear that my stance is not to get rid of the current method, but to probably use the rapid testing even as a backup to test those that were positive, or before releasing those into quarantine, before releasing those that were quarantined.
And still to come, Prime Minister gives updates on the COVID-19 cases on the island. We'll have the details to that story and more when SXM Daily News returns.
GEBE has been faithfully serving the communities of St. Martin, powering your home and our economy. Come rain or shine, our qualified team of professionals are working hard 24 hours a day to provide you and your family with safe, reliable electricity and water. We use the latest technologies and test our products daily to maintain the highest international standards. Our friendly staff is always there to assist you, whether in person, over the phone, or online. We are committed to constantly improving our products and services, making them more efficient, effective, and environmentally friendly to serve you better today and our next generation of clients tomorrow. GEBE, powering a brighter future.
Our friend Megawati is here with tips to save you energy. 1. Turn your airco temperature up. 2. Use a ceiling fan instead. 3. Buy energy-saving products. Save some green with NVGEBE.
And as we continue with more news at this time, Prime Minister and Chairlady of the EOC, the Emergency Operations Center on St. Martin, Ms. Sylvania Jacobs, gave the latest figures and data on the COVID-19 pandemic on the island at Wednesday's weekly Council of Ministers press briefing.
Over the past weekend, we have, as CPS, gone out to the Lower Princess Quarter area to house to ascertain whether there are persons still within the community who have not voluntarily come forward who may be experiencing signs and symptoms, as that is still the only way that it is viable to test for COVID-19. And it is also time-bound. So between the 2nd to the 5th day is when it is most opportune to do the swabbing and get an accurate result. As such, we still have 46 persons in quarantine, of which 18 are active cases. Active cases being persons that are positive, so with symptoms, and positive and under the care of CPS. Of those 18, 5 are hospitalized and the others are recovering well at home. Of the 5 that are hospitalized, 1 is in the ICU tent and the other 4 are in the medical mobile pavilion, which was formerly a classroom or the school, and which has a capacity of 14 persons. So actually, what we have done in mitigating the spread has worked. We have increased our capacity to serve. However, at no point did we ever overrun our health facilities. And for that, I must thank each and every person who has complied with CPS, and for all each person is doing when out in public in terms of hyping up your hands and hand hygiene, ensuring that you wear your face covering, and keeping a safe 1.5 to 2 meters from other persons. This is the only way we will continue to mitigate the spread of COVID-19.
And in news this time out of the island of St. Eustatius, the results of a recent poll conducted on the island of St. Eustatius showed that if elections were held today, the PLP party, under the leadership of Clyde Van Putten, would win. It was in February of 2018. The day-to-day running of the island of St. Eustatius was taken over by the Netherlands government after a committee that investigated the state of the island pointed to, among other things, corruption and a gross neglect of duties, which was unfounded. Leader of the PLP, the Progressive Labour Party, former island councilman, is Clyde Van Putten.
First of all, I must say it is a vindication for both my party and I with the result of that poll. But I must say it was no surprise to me. because I believe that during our stewardship, we were on the right track, in trying to move the island forward. The very same neglect that we were accused of by the Dutch, they played a big role in it, because basically with the limited resources that the island have always had, being a part of the Netherlands Antilles. And when we look at the way Dutch development monies were managed and controlled by Willemstad, and the Dutch remained silent on the sideline, but without intervening and ensuring that the smaller islands got their fair share. Now they are the ones today that are pointing fingers. The Dutch is here for the last 2.5 years, and I think notably as well in that poll that was conducted, a large percentage of the population totally opposed in the first place to the takeover, and are clearly stating they are not satisfied with the presence of the Dutch here and what they have done here over the past 2 years. I would use the outcome of these polls, not to grandstand, but again call for dialogue with the Hague, in trying to restore the democracy. Because as we know, there is a law proposal before the lower house of parliament in Holland, where the state secretary is proposing a further extension of the control of the Dutch here by another 4 to 5 years. And I think that that is not a good thing for the island. I believe that every island and people have a right, to be able to elect their leaders via free and fair election. Clearly, there are laws in place from the days of the Netherlands Antilles, and now since we are part of the Dutch state, to safeguard whatever the democracy and the administrative process may be. And therefore, I do not believe that what the Dutch are doing at this point in time is in the interest of the people of the island. But again, I'm saying we are vindicated, we are satisfied, because the people of this island know clearly that the Progressive Labour Party is the party, that have been moving the island, that have been advancing the people of the island. And I think clearly that in any election, we never had any doubt whatsoever that we will be the victor. So I think that this poll is a confirmation. I am a bit suspicious, though, because I do believe that the Dutch were behind the conducting of this poll. And I am very suspicious because everybody knows that they have announced that there will be elections on October the 20th. But I want to believe that they may have been pulsing and seeing how the people of the island feel, because I think that they would prefer not to see the PLP or my person in government. And so I would not be surprised if they don't use the COVID-19 situation as an excuse, to postpone the election that they announced that will take place on the 20th of October. But again, I'm saying time will tell. But I would not want to, use the outcome of this poll in a negative way, but to build on it, and again to call on the Dutch to sit down and negotiate with the political directorate of the island and restore the democracy as soon as possible.
Now turning to our weather forecast for May the 6th, 2020. An influx of Saharan dust and a relatively stable atmosphere will limit shower activity across the local area. Meanwhile, a weak Atlantic high-pressure system will generate gentle to moderate winds. Seas will remain slight to moderate during the next several days. The outlook through Friday, midday, is fairly to partly cloudy with light haze, and a few brief showers is possible. Now, let's turn to your 3-day forecast. And still to come, First Vice President of the Collectivité of St. Martin wants local banks to reconsider their criteria in offering loans to locals. You'll have the details to that story and more when SXM Daily News returns.
Make use of Web Mobile Banking with easy access and direct usage of face recognition, PIN code, or fingerprint. download WIB mobile banking app and make your transaction from anywhere at any time. For more information, visit wib-bank.net/quick-login.
And as we continue now with the news for this evening, Member of Parliament for the National Alliance, Solange Ludmila Duncan, has presented a motion on the salary cuts for ministers and members of Parliament. The Member of Parliament says this is her first motion, and as some may portray it as conservative, it is not. It is a show of solidarity.
Mr. Chairman, this is my first motion as a Member of Parliament. And although I am proud of this joint effort with my coalition members, I know that some will portray it as conservative. But I must say, and I must reiterate, that the last thing it is conservative. Its intention is clear: to show solidarity with the people of St. Martin by cutting not one cost, but various costs across the board. So in addition to a 5% salary cut to parliamentarians and Council of Ministers salaries, there is a proposal to cut 20% of material costs across the board. I believe that not only is the salary and my salary the people's money, but also conference costs, plane tickets, and even the gasoline that goes into government cars. All of it is the people's money, and it's better spent on the people. Another key proposal in this motion, Mr. Chairman, is a thorough review of the transitional allowance. There are a number of former public office holders that continue to enjoy a percentage of their salaries from their former public office. And this has to be really looked at carefully and adapted in order for us to save monies there as well. And so for these reasons, I believe that this motion offers a wider variety and greater possibility for major savings across the board, both in Parliament and in government. And I thank in advance all those MPs who will support it. And I thank the ministers as well for their cooperation. And I look forward to more proposals alongside my colleagues in the future, in the end, for the betterment of this country and our people.
And in news now from French St. Martin, First Vice President of the Collectivité on French St. Martin, Valerie Damasso, is encouraging and wants the local banks to help local businesses with loans so that they can get back on track. The First Vice President said she wants the banks to reconsider their criteria to support St. Martin businesses who are in difficulty.
In this same mindset, we discussed with the banks who does not always play the game locally. We reminded them of their crucial role in times of economic crisis. We asked them to reconsider their criteria to support St. Martin businesses which are in difficulty. Minister of Overseas, Madame Girardin, for her part, has pledged to raise concern of overseas territories with central banks. We thank her for this because more than ever, this is an important mechanism for our local entrepreneurs who need this financial support. This sums up our exchange with the President of the Republic and his government. On Friday, May 1st, we launched Part 2 of the State and Collectivité Solidarity Fund. The additional assistance of Part 2 is between 2,000 and 5,000 euros and is available for companies with 1 to 10 employees, which sums up the grant of the collectivité to 61,000 euros. The step towards obtaining it must be made on the collectivité's website, www.com-saint-martin.fr. The files will be examined by our services and then forwarded to the DIECT before payment. As for Part 1 of the Solidarity Fund, it was extended by 1 month. Companies can receive up to 1,500 euros on this axis for the month of April 2020. The steps towards obtaining it are done directly on the national platform www.impo.gouv.fr. The collectivité participated in Part 1 of the Solidarity Fund up to 123,000 euros. The collectivité has released an emergency fund of 5 million euros distributed thanks to 3-tier system to provide assistance to all businesses on the territory, regardless of their size. This assistance takes the form of 2 loans and trusts, which can amount to 15,000 euros, as well as access to the prêt rebond from the BPI. Our Economic Development Department is at your disposal to answer any further questions. Note that the deferral forms of the TGCA, corporate tax, and business license are available since April 27th on the collectivity's website. We invite all businesses who haven't done so to quickly complete these important formalities.
And still to come, Director of SZV says after reopening, SZV customers can only visit their offices when really necessary. I'll have the details of that story when SXM Daily News returns. And as we end this edition of SXM Daily News for this evening, this item from our social and health insurance provider, SZV. As the island prepares to reopen soon, our social and health insurance provider, SZV, says its goal when reopened is to have customers visit the office only when really necessary to ensure the safety of customers and staff. SZV Director Glenn Carty said in a press release on Tuesday that the reopening of the SZV offices for appointments will take place when given clearance by the Emergency Operations Center, the EOC chairperson, Prime Minister Sylvia Jacobs, and with the implementation of the proper hygiene and social distancing protocols at SZV. We are preparing to reopen our doors and offer customers a new experience with a focus on assisting them to transition with us to our online services, Carty said. We have no exact date yet when we will reopen our doors. The goal of SZV is to reopen and have customers visit only if absolutely necessary. Our priority is to ensure the safety of customers and staff. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, SZV closed its doors for customers and visitors from March the 17th, maintaining 24/7 online access and phone operations during regular opening hours. The ongoing automation of SZV made it possible for SZV employees to work from home and enable flex operations to ensure limited disruption of services to customers and stakeholders. SZV said that in the continued interest of public health and safety, the reopening of SZV offices will mean that not all services will require customers to visit the office to get assistance, and not all SZV staff will be stationed to work from the office. We never close or stop working, and once we are reopened, we will not go back to the old way of service at SZV, said Carty. The COVID-19 pandemic is creating a new reality in how we provide public services. He said SZV has actually improved its access during the pandemic and would like for customers to continue to be able to benefit from its social and health insurances without going back and forth to the different offices, the release reads in part. And I'm Valerie Van Putten. Just a reminder that this and other programs are available online. Simply log on to stmartinmediacenter.com for viewing. And on behalf of the SXM Daily News team, we thank you for watching and plan on meeting you right back here again tomorrow.